And welcome back to the Down Under Network. I am your host, Joshua Diffie, and I'm joined by the ever so magnificent and the sultry tones of Mr. Josh McGowan. Say hello to your adoring fans.
How was everyone's lunch?
I had some delicious sushi. I hear you're having something a little interesting.
Yeah, Fruit Loops. The good thing about being a dad is you can just relive your childhood whenever you want.
So true. Alright, so I'm just gonna... Beefy Kent had a beer.
Yeah, that's pretty substantial.
Yeah, I'm currently got the CC and Dry going down.
Hey, Denise, how we doing, man?
Hi, everybody. All right, so on the stream, in the final round of the Victorian Masters, we have Mr. Adam Camilleri, who's currently in first place, and he has 70 battle points with 4 wins. You will know Adam from Team Down Under Network, Team Australia, Team Victoria, Team Giant Squid Gaming, Team #Art of War Australia. So he gets around, I believe is what the kids call it these days. And also Adam's been on the stream the last 2 games. So he was in round 3 at the end of yesterday, and we had him against Rob Lane in round 4 this morning. And he is facing Jeremy the Marigold Martino, who's playing pure mono Deathwatch. The cojones on this guy, who has managed to go 4 wins on 63 battle points, is impressive.
The journey that these 2 guys have had in their rounds and matchups, it really is testament. It's been a hard slog for both these guys going all the way through. And the good thing is, it's not Marines in the finals.
Well, it isn't.
Well, you got Deathwatch, but they're not. They're not Space Marines.
Yeah, they're not Marines. They're not real Marines. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, everyone think, Iron Hands or, Imperial Fists and whatnot are taking the world by storm, and yet, good generals and all that, we end up with Deathwatch and pure list. Well, sort of. Astra's got a bit of an ally contingent, but predominantly Guard and Deathwatch.
Exactly. All right, so I just did a little striptease and didn't want to get banned from Twitch because it's getting toasty up here with all this nerd funk. So, for those that are interested in the crazy mission format that is the Victorian 40k Masters, I'm going to give you a quick rundown. Let's give a clean sheet. So there's one of these on every table, which basically goes through the pre-game sequence, which I'll explain in a moment, and the way you win the game. So this is an ETC-esque style format with a 40k draft element. So what the hell does that mean? So there is kill points, Maelstrom of War, and Eternal War scoring. So each game you play, there is 3 effectively objectives you're working on. Each of those have a differential cap, which is a term not commonly used, so I'll just explain how that works. So basically, the Maelstrom points, at the end of the game, the person with the highest number of Maelstrom points gets a score, and the other person does not, and they get the difference between the 2. So if I was to get 10 Maelstrom points and my opponent was to get 3, then I would get 7 and they would get 0. The same thing happens with Eternal War and kill points. All 3 of them are capped at 9. So if I was to blow out and get 100 Maelstrom points, to my opponent's 0, I would still only end up with a 9-point advantage. So, how's this draft thing work? So you may have seen on that sheet, there is a grid of 3x3. So there's 3 deployments, 3 Maelstrom of War, and 3 Eternal Wars. Players roll off. The winner of the roll-off has to remove one of the 3 deployments from play. Then the next person removes a Maelstrom of War. The next person removes an Eternal War. Then it goes back and goes another deployment, another Maelstrom, another Eternal War. So each player gets the ability to remove one of each of the 3 rows. And the end result is the mission that they're playing. So, for example, one of the missions in the Eternal War is Beachhead, which is a progressive scoring mission. So as a result, if your opponent's very good at progressive and you're not, then you would probably cross that one out. If you really don't like the idea of Dawn of War, then you can cross that one off, and so on. Which should in turn mean that it is a balanced as balance gets in the Age of 9th Edition 40k. Yeah. Makes sense? Clear as mud? Any questions from the chat on what the hell that all means? Interesting question from Beefy Kent. How are Eldari looking with Marines flooding everywhere? Also with them getting yet more stuff in Faith and Fury. Fun fact, at the 26-player Victorian 40k Masters, not a single pointy-eared mofo in sight. No Dark Eldar, no Eldar, no Yanari, no Harlequins, no pointy-eared freaks at all. Good riddance. No, I'm kidding. A couple of the Eldar players in Victoria aren't here today. Are they using ITC rules ground floor windows, etc., blocking line of sight? I found in the USA it made a much better game for non-shooty armies. So they're using the ETC FAQ, which has the same bottom level of a ruin blocking line of sight. So it's not just an ITC ruling. ETC have made the same. So ETC being the European Team Championships and ITC being the Independent Tournament Circuit. For those unfamiliar of the acronyms. Yeah. I think the main point behind that, and we might find that at some stage it becomes a little less relevant, is that the 40k terrain at most events did not transition very well to 8th edition. And so blocking the line of sight of the bottom level of a ruin helped effectively TOs who don't have the ability to just suddenly replace all their terrain have 8th edition effective terrain. Is that a fair comment, you reckon, Josh?
Yeah, that was one of the big things that we found. Like I probably threw about 15 tables in the bin leading into 8th and had to start again. I've got a different thing because I'm self-funded, so I can make that call, as painful as it is. But even now, I'm looking at where I went from where the start of the game was through the meta and all that sort of jazz. I'm probably looking at another big overhaul over Christmas to start 2020.
Now, you make most of your terrain, don't you?
Yeah, so MDF, like I do have a lot of GW stuff, but I try and spread it out because I'm not a millionaire. But yeah, a lot of foam, a lot of MDF. I've got a router, so I can make my own buildings out of 3mm MDF card.
Oh,
so
that's exciting.
Basically so I router a lot of, I can put boardwalks in and windows and all that if I need to.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, house paint, go down to Bunnings. Bunnings saved my life in regards to, they came out with like 2 foot by 2 foot tiles that you meant to it's full vegetation that you meant to put on walls and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you pick them apart, and you get all your greenery that you need. So old school, it's pretty but functional. So it's not, doesn't look $1 million, but it definitely, at least makes it fair, because that's the biggest thing in 8th ed that's changed in other editions. It's a lot more brutal. Like, you probably attest to it as well. How many times in 4th and 5th where we sit there and you go, we've had this unit in combat all game. The old slugfest, slapfest in the center of the board, where you'd have combats last, turns. Whereas now it's just like, oh no, something charged and then something got massacred.
Yeah, I think if I was to even just go back one edition and look at the 2+ rerollable invuln Screamer Council, who really didn't have any punching ability, they just didn't die. That sometimes it just felt like unstoppable force versus a movable object doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, and like even down to even going down to basically what you can get into a list these days. Like, we used to go back and go, all right, 2 wave serpents, a fire prism, a couple of dudes on foot, and a couple of unit of jet bikes. Like, that was your 1,500 point list.
Yeah, I think the I don't know who made the judgment call here of moving up to 2,000 points when everything was cheaper in points.
Yeah.
Like, everything got cheaper, and it's like, oh, and you know what? We'll also make it 2,000 points.
Like, you used to go, oh, God, he's got like 40 Marines in this list. What a horde guy, Whereas now it's just like, that's a battalion. Then you got 3 of them. With toys.
Yeah, with toys. That's the key, isn't it? So let's take a look at some of these lists. So over on Down Under Pairings, we have Adam Camilleri versus Jeremy Marigold Martino. So while Adam's list has been on stream now twice, and this is your third, I will do an update just for those that are just joining us for the first time. He has a Talan battalion of the Emperor's Fist, with double tank commander, one being Punisher and one being the Relic Battle Cannon, with the Old Grudges Warlord trait, 30 infantry, and then an Astropath, Ministoran Priest, and 8 Bulgarin with 3 Brute Shields and 5 Slab Shields. He has the Militarum Tempestus Battalion with the Blackstone Fortress Aradia Medallion, who is pretty much an Astropath, or Primaris Psyker probably is a better analogy. Primaris Psyker with a +1 to hit power. Tempesta Prime, 2 units of 4 plasma gun drop scions, 10-man squads, and a 5-man squad of drop scions with 2 grenade launchers. And then the Piece de Resistance, the Dark Angels Battalion Ravenwing Attack Squadron with Samael and the Talon Master, who has the Extra Relic Monster Slayer of Caliban. 2 units of 5 Infiltrators and 5 Scouts. If I jump on over to Jeremy's list, so Jeremy's list is a pure 2,000 point battalion of Deathwatch. He has a Librarian. He has a Jump Back Librarian with Beacon and Jealous. He has 2 Watchmasters. He then has a Veteran Squad with 4 Terminators, 3 with Cyclones, and then 5 veterans with Stormbolter Storm Shield, and then a sergeant with Stormbolter Storm Shield. So lots of Storm Shields, lots of Stormbolters, and 3 missiles. He has that same unit pretty much again. He has then got a unit with a Bike and Vanguard Vet, 3 Cyclone missile launchers, and some veterans, and that is the unit again. Then he has 2 more veteran squads of pretty much stock standard. Now, that is the list he submitted. Unless my maths is wrong, that could have been, and probably is, 2 battalions, not 1 battalion. That looks like he's copy-pasted it from Battlescribe, and he's got 4 HQs. Yeah.
Yeah, I dare say that'd be the case.
Yeah. All right. So questions from the chat. Did the plasma cannon get fact so it doesn't one-shot the Lehman Russ on a 1? That's a very good question. If you were to...
Events.
Sorry, what was that, Josh?
Plasma events. So a roll of a 1 is just 1 mortal wound.
Let's go. On the tank commander? Yeah. So
Rusters more specifically.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So based on the lists, my learned friend Mr. McGowan, what are your thoughts so far on the matchup?
So we didn't get to see who placed what objectives. That 4 seems to be an objective that happens a lot in the last couple of streams. So I don't know if that's Camilleri liking to put a 4 right in the center of those. I dare say it would be. It's good placement. The fact that most of these objectives are on open ground, so you can't just tail out or have them behind.
Yep.
This is going to be a very strike from the shadows game. Going off of Jerry Martino, he can't answer to just brute firepower that Adam can put out. So I think it'll be the case of he'll stay out along the side as best he can, and then only commit when he knows that he can get enough units to 1-zip something or 1-zip a threat down in a fire lane, and then rinse and repeat. So it'll be a very reserved game from Jeremy. Adam will have to go on the offensive, but he can't overcommit because regardless, you don't want to stare down 30, veterans. You can't just go into that building with 1 speeder and think you're going to live. So
no, you
cannot. A lot of cat and mouse. So it'll be good because it's, at the end of the day, this is for the finals. This is, for the master.
Yep.
And these guys have gotten there with these lists, so they obviously know how to play them extremely well.
So,
even down to
regarding the mission, just I've got the sheet back from the players. So, quite clearly, they're playing the Dawn of War deployment. Maelstrom of War, they are playing Spoils of War. So, at the start of each of their turns, if they have fewer than 3 cards, they generate up to 3. And both players can achieve any tactical objective titled Secure Objective X, where X is a number between 1 and 6, regardless of which player generated it. In addition, these tactical objectives can only be discarded when achieved. So if your opponent picks up Secure Objective, Objective 1. So let's say Jeremy picks up Secure Objective 1. Adam can just walk forward and secure that with his Bulgren squad, for example. The Eternal War is capture the data. So at the start of each battle round, the player who went first rolls a d6. On a 6, all objective markers that are active for that battle round. On any other objective marker is sorry, it's just covered up with some text here. On any other result, that objective marker is active for the battle round. At the end of the battle round, each player scores victory points for objective markers they control. Each objective marker is worth 1 victory point. Active objective markers are worth 2. So this is a progressive scoring mission. Another one. Damn you, sexy Flanders.
Yeah, so we might see Adam get a big lead in getting Jeremy closing the gap towards the late game. Once, like we talked about, some of those threats being dealt with.
Yeah.
When it's progressive.
Yeah, for sure. In one of the questions in the chat, it's a really good one, actually. I really like it. Real Grumlin has said, what's the single in-play, I'm assuming what's the single most in-play error that you see good players doing? The one that makes you go, what the fuck? Well, I would say one of the errors I've seen good players continue to do is forget to bring in their tactical reserves by turn 3 and be at the mercy of their opponent on whether or not they're allowed to bring them in and in what circumstances. So that's a tricky one. If you're going to... Well, it shouldn't be tricky, but it's an error that I see and I go, what the fuck? So it specifically answers that question. And the other one, which I don't think we're going to see in this game, But this list matchup specifically, I think there'll be a chance that, we see it, that people forget that those two land speeders can heroically intervene. I don't know if I'd say it's a what the fuck moment, but it's something where good players should see it coming. What about your thoughts, Josh? Are there any ones that you think, I can't believe someone made that mistake?
More or less positioning is something we've had it a few where just not knowing the opposition's codex, not knowing, perfect ambush and stuff like that.
Yep.
Was a big one because it's like you've formulated, you've deployed, you've placed objectives, like so much planning and everything is gone into everything up to the leader, and then you go, one strat just undoes it all because it's just like, I didn't even know they could do that sort of thing. So that's a huge one. But it's like, good players, it's hard. Like, this is, regardless, you do get nervous. You do, you have a million things going through your head. Like we said, link back to the whole cat and mouse thing. These guys will be trying to get into each other's heads and get into each other's real space, going, I'm going to do something unconventional here because you would expect, A, B, C. So if you're doing a game of that, you're just basically leaving it up to dice. Whereas pulling out decent plays where you go, if this works, and stuff like that. So sometimes there's situations in that regard where you go, that made no sense, and all of a sudden, 2 turns later, it becomes more apparent of why it happened.
Yep.
So
we might take a look at these player profiles in Down Under Pairings to give you a bit of while these guys finish off their first movement phase. So Adam Camilleri we've seen a couple of times, so we'll hammer over his profile quite quickly. So Adam has an 85, 23, 2 win-loss draw rate. His current win streak, not including this weekend, is 7 wins. Largest win streak is 11. So his if he wins this game, it'll be his largest win streak, being 12 games in a row. He's tabled 24 of his opponents, and he has a pretty strong win ratio regardless of going first or second. His recent podiums are the Men's Masquerade, he came 3rd, the Triumph at Moab, he came 2nd, and the Eightfold Path, he came 3rd. If we jump on over and take a look at the Marigold himself, so Jeremy's got an 87-31-5 win-loss draw rate. His current win streak, not including this weekend, is 5. Largest win streak is 10. And he's tabled 26 of his opponents. There's not a huge disparity between his first and second turn win ratio. And his recent podiums include CanCon, EastCon, and Eightfold Path, where he came 2nd, and 3rd. Both of these players were on the 2019 Australian ETC team, and Adam was on the 2018 Australian ETC team as well. And they both got their Guernseys, or whatever terminology you'd like to use, for the 2020 team, along with Mr. McGowan, who's on the stream commentating himself. So Adam has gone balls deep with Samael by the looks of it, or it could be the Talon Master. Let me just put my glasses on, which didn't help. It did. So the land speeder who's gone all in is the Talon Master, whereas the land speeder who's played a bit more defensively is the Samael.
Yep. Reasons why he's doing this, if anyone knows what the Dark Angel from Vigilance Detachment does. So he can move in advance if he needs to, fire to full effect and charge. He can also, once he's in combat, just strike and then fall back before blows are struck. So he might be looking at getting a window shot onto something, charging something else, and then you'll see that land speeder pick up and go back to the original position it was in.
Yeah, it's a pretty baller move. The thing he's got to be careful with, so that move back is if he needs an advance roll on it, whether or not he can clear the Bullgren. Hopefully he can. Hashtag Deneath. Eyo. I've got no idea what's going on there. All right. So yes, he could just be jumping forward to try and take on some of the vets.
Yeah, if you look at Jeremy's deployment, pretty much everything's out of line of sight. So we've seen Jeremy do this a number of times where it's like everyone thinks that you just got to stand there and shoot and punch and carry on and trade shots, and it's just like, no, you can use the terrain like this.
Yeah, so Jeremy's got a number of units effectively out of line of sight. So he's got a number that are sitting in this backfield corner, in the top right-hand corner. He's got a unit that's sitting on the center objective, who is the one that I'm guessing the Talon Master's going after, or he could be going after the one that's on the left.
Yeah.
So there's two there. Adam has pushed out to take out to hit objective 6. So Adam will be on objectives 1, 2, and 6, and he's also pushed out to just tap objective 4. So it will be interesting to see. The unit that's just jumped out to objective 4 is the infiltrators. So 2 wound Marines who are jumping out to objective 4. That will they still should get eaten by a unit of Death Watch, but the Death Watch have to come out and show their faces to actually do it. So worst case scenario for actually worst case, it's debatable, but if he comes out and shoots them, he probably kills them. But then Adam can then unload on that unit that popped out.
2 tank commanders.
Yeah, 2 tank commanders. Solid effort. But Adam jumping on 4 objectives, that's solid, because obviously there's the 1 in 5 chance, because 6 doesn't get you there. Because on a 6, all 6 objectives are worth 2 points that turn, whereas on a 1 to 5, the objectives 1 to 5 are doubled to 2 points, and the rest are 1. So there is a 3 in 5 chance now that Adam will get the 2-point objective.
Goes back to that early lead. It's just a case of, does Adam have enough units that he can trade effectively without losing a board presence? So if he's going to trade and eliminate a squad, can he eliminate what targets that squad to kill it? So whatever pokes its head out has to die, because Adam, even being guard, doesn't actually have a lot of units. So he can't just trade another 10 guardsmen, get another point, trade another 10 guardsmen because he's got 100. He's running a very elite style list that packs a lot of punch and directly...
There's still 55 toughness 3 infantry models, not including characters.
Yeah, but you'll find the signs are actually quite resilient. Like having them in the building like it has on the bottom left, it's like with 1 CP strat, they can turn to a 2-up save.
Yep.
So it's actually pretty decent, so it's been working for him. Obviously, he's in the top table, but just from an attrition side, you got to be very, very careful about what he's actually trading. If he's, forcing Jeremy to come out to shoot at them and be seen by other units in Adam's army is going to be key in this game.
So a couple of questions in the chat. Is that a chess clock on the right, and how does that work? It sure is. So chess clocks get used slightly different in a couple of different game formats. ITC and ETC both have their own rules. They are very similar, and it's basically when you are in control of the play, the time is on you. So for example, while Adam is making his shots, the time is on him. And then in theory, now that he's worked out how many wounds, he should tap the time over to Jeremy, and Jeremy then rolls his saves, removes models, and so on. But you'll find top players generally just do it on bigger chunks of time. So you'll see the time on Adam right now. And then when you run out of time, you can't do anything.
Yeah, because I'm sure when Jeremy's having his turn, Adam's not going to be, swapping the clock back to him to make his save. So it's sort of a gentleman's agreement, provided that you're, conscious that you are on someone else's time and you're not taking forever. But these guys know what they're doing. They're quite quick. So
also, the teammates, both from a club perspective, being the Art of War Australia, as well as Team Australia and Team Victoria. So they're in a club together and two actual teams together, and they also played at the Overwatch Team Challenge a week or two ago, where they're on the same team. So these guys are mates. They play a lot together. You'll see there won't be any gotcha moments. There won't be any clocking issues and so on. That's how the clock works. And in regards to George's question, did Adam go first? The answer is yes. I believe, actually. Who knows? I mean, technically, Jeremy could have gone first and said, yep, your turn. But I believe Adam went first.
So I believe this is Jeremy tanking onto a Terminator. Hence why he's rolling his dice singularly like that.
Which I believe he just removed. I might, because the top-down angle of the camera, I might do a quick little roam and give you guys an update of exactly where...
and thanks for the update, Beefy. We got hail incoming southeast Queensland, so get your stuff inside.
Oh, jeez. Big thanks to Just Shoot XD is now following. Really appreciate the follow there. Queensland's a pretty big state. Where in Queensland's the hailstorm happening?
It'll be southeast somewhere. Because if it's northern Queensland, it'll be a hurricane. I don't have one anymore. Now there's a crocodile in my bathtub. Yeah, Brisbane. Yeah, so that land speeder then chose to rejoin his friends.
I really love that cheeky play. All right. What's in there? Okay, so Samael just shot at the veteran squad in the top left-hand corner. And I believe that was just a 5-man squad, wasn't it? Yeah, 5-man squad of vets. Just had three of them just removed. And if I go look at the casualties, we've got 2 dead Terminators from the squad that in the more central right-hand side ruin, if that makes sense.
Yep.
And then, we've got a Cyclone Terminator and the Sergeant Terminator. So they've just rolled the 6. Every single objective is worth 2 points.
Well, it's not too bad.
Oh.
So what did Adam do? Did he?
So Adam pushed forward with the Talon Master and effectively took out 2 Terminators.
No, sorry. In regards to the objectives, what did Adam roll, or is that for the round roll?
Jeremy actually rolled it, which I'm assuming, does that mean Jeremy went first? One second, I'm just going to get the mission sheet out for them.
Yep. Yeah, sorry, I was under the impression that each player rolled, or it was rolled at the start of the turn.
Yeah, so they made a mistake. They didn't roll the dice.
Yep.
So Jeremy just rolled it and rolled a 6. So all objectives are worth 2 points.
Yep. And that's at the player round?
It's meant to be at the start of the battle round. And then each player scores VP markers they control at the end of the battle round.
Yeah.
So top of the turn, they roll the dice.
Yep.
Bottom of the turn, at the end, they score points.
Yep.
As far as the other games going on. We have Lee Abbey, who's playing at some Orcs, and we have Matt Morrisoli versus Rob's Necrons. So Matt from round 1 stream and Rob from round 4 stream.
Yep. So we've got Demons versus Crons.
Demons versus Crons.
GSC versus Orcs.
And the Orcs consist of a whole bunch of smasher guns, or they're guns. They're big
Was
cannons.
that the same one that was on stream day 1?
It was not. No, we haven't seen that often.
All right.
Yep. So I'm just going to have a look here. How's this one looking so far, lads? All right. All right. So, which means I'm assuming you went first? You went first? All right. So, for those playing at home, Rob went first and went forward and took out 1 and a bit of the Plagueverse crawlers and scored double victory points on Supremacy. So they're obviously playing the Maelstrom one where you can discard 2 and draw another one, and that one is then worth 2 victory points. So I believe it's only if you score it that turn, though.
Yeah, Cron's getting first turns, pretty nasty.
Yeah. Back to the
so I think Denise will be quite excited with what Jeremy's doing with his bikes in his that squad here. That they use to push him out and threaten.
Yeah.
So he'll have a vet squad to easily go into some eliminators.
Infiltrators.
Yeah, infiltrators, sorry. And then doesn't really matter because he's troops regardless, isn't he?
Yeah. Both units are troops though, so.
Yep. So it's more or less just getting one more model in. Or at least shooting,
Or charging.
Shooting the 3, yeah.
Although that 5-man squad of infiltrators, they're not that easy to budge. I mean, there's 10 wounds. What would you have done if I didn't do that?
And I'm back at the desk.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Like, if he's putting that vet squad out there, he actually has a quite strong board presence on our right, his left. And if he forces the Bullgren to go that way, they're going to be fighting over an objective in the open. Which is quite, we got the Lehman Russes there. I know that Jeremy's rocking a whole lot of 3-up in buttons and doesn't really care too much about cover, but at the same time, not getting shot is better. So
yeah, the best cover save is not getting shot.
So, but picked up that Rhino first turn. What was in the Rhino?
That's a very good question.
Was it just vets? 5 vets?
I think it could have just been the 5-man vet squad.
Yeah.
So it's time for that part of the stream where I do a big thank you once again to the support of the channel from the patrons. So thanks to all the Down Under Network patrons who support this channel with hard-earned cash. With that, we put that into improving the quality of the gear. Friday saw us purchase a whole bunch of new audio equipment, which is what we're coming to across the airwaves today. If I was just to have a look at this wonderful soundboard with the stingers, that's a fancy term that I learned on Friday. A big thank you to all the Down Under Network patrons. Couldn't do it without you guys. All right.
So how can one get involved with helping you guys out if that's something that people want to do?
Yeah, sure. So there's 2 ways of doing that. You can either do that through the patreon.com/downunder_network. You'll see that URL scroll across the bottom the whole stream. We have a number of different tiers. So the lowest tier effectively gives you just access to a Facebook group and is just to show a little bit of support. The other two tiers give you access to a hobby Discord chat, discounted merch, and tickets in a monthly raffle where we give out. It varies. Sometimes it's the neoprene Down Under Network objective sets, which you're seeing on stream today. So if they are standing on that objective, that means they are, or that neoprene objective, they're within 3 inches of the center, so we know who has it. Great for streaming, but handy just for getting, well, not having to measure every time. The other option is through Down Under Pairings. There's a subscriber option there, so some of the features you'll see on today and previous streams are available to subscribers. Some of the cool extra stats and reports to really just give you the bells and whistles. But every cent's pretty much just going straight back into the channel or to the site. So, yeah, happy for the support. Love you guys a long time.
That's good. You guys definitely deserve it. All right, so we're answering out. So basically on that side, he's moved his characters across to the centre. I'm guessing that's his Libby's or his Watchmaster.
I believe at least one of them is Libby because it has a force stave.
Yep.
Which would be the one to the left.
Yep.
But we might see a little bit of just measuring and thinking going out because Adam has needed to step away from the table. These guys are good mates, so Adam's just basically said keep going. And plus, he's currently being on stream. Okay. I've just been asked to come over to watch some rolls because he's allowed to keep going. So I know I can watch it from here, but I'll be right back. Well, I'll be on Discord.
Yep. So you got Melissa, you can always do exclamation mark lists, and that should bring up the current list link from DEP.
Yep.
Or is it capital L?
Capitals don't matter. So we've had a couple of big advances. So Jez got a 6 for his Terminator. Is that a Watchmaster? No, it's not Libby. Oh, sorry, it's Libby. So yeah, a couple of big advance rolls, which is why I asked to come over to the table. And it looks like we're doing the teleport.
Yep. That's the Beacon of Angelus.
Yep.
Yep.
And I just want to say a big thank you to Gavin Cole, who just signed up to the Patreon. So really, really appreciate the support. And yeah, hopefully we can do you proud. All right. All right. So the beacon's gone. So Adam's is talking through the unit on the right-hand side. Over there, they're not being. There's no teleporting them back, and they're not that quick. So there's a couple of options there that Adam's got in up his sleeve on whether or not he just completely leaves that right-hand side of the table or not. Because there's 2 units over there that are inefficient or not very quick, I should say. Not a horrible option. Adam can just go to the left-hand side of the table and play against half of Jeremy's army.
Yeah, so Deathwatch got some tricks, and they're very fast at redeploying. So like you can overload one flank, your opponent tries to deal with it or move to counter it, and then all of a sudden you just pick units up and teleport them across. Same thing with bikers, the amount of distance you can move and pull off charges by, up and including like 20 odd inches in a different direction with your biker being moved throughout your unit is phenomenal.
Yep. Both those units that have the bikers also have the Vanguard veteran as well, though.
Yep.
So that's another model that has the speed to get through things.
Yep. So usually your bike moves a little bit more, and then the Vanguard is the second model out, and then your closest model from your Vanguard to keep up, and you space them out like he has there, 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. And
yep.
And that goes through terrain. So if there are magic boxes, you can use that, leave the bike on the outside. So nothing's safe. So you're not restricted by having one singular bike in your unit.
Yep.
The good thing is also with that model having fly, he can, when he moves, he can get into more places over the top of things to like help you with locking and stuff like that.
Yeah, and also, would I be right in thinking that the Vanguard veteran could also charge a flyer?
Potentially, yeah.
Is that, or does the whole unit need to have the fly keyword?
Pretty sure it just comes down to model basis.
I'd want to look that one up. Not that Jeremy would be actually planning on that, because the dude's just got a storm storm pistol, and storm shield.
Yeah.
But there are some chain fists in with the Terminators.
So apparently if one model has it, the whole unit.
Really?
So vets apparently share all keywords.
Wow.
I just don't have my codex with me. So.
Wow. Because the Vanguard vet gives you the fallback and charge
Yep.
ability, and the bike I think gives you the fallback and shoot ability, doesn't it?
Yeah. So
I didn't realize it gave you the whole unit the fly keyword. I want to check that out. I'm gonna. I've got to read this.
Didn't he be in there just to double confirm? Not that we don't believe you, George, but yeah. Yeah, as long as he's alive. Because you've also got your Primera squads that share abilities as well, like you can advance and fire without penalty if you've got an aggressor in there. You can fall back and charge if you've got your interceptor. So no, it's really, really cool how they share their abilities.
Faux show. I have so many devices on this table.
Yeah, you'll see a common theme, well, definitely with Adam when he's playing, but a lot of these top tables, they play the mission as the utmost importance from everything else. So it's hard to go, what would a certain list do against a certain other list? You just have to gauge it. I would imagine that Jeremy would use levels of buildings to get away so he can't get stomped, and he's just got to wear the shooting, because a Knight army, while it has devastating firepower, it's not in the quantity that I think Jeremy, obviously you don't want to get shot for the first, 4 turns straight with no answers. But I think definitely the first turn he's probably out of line of sight. Moving into the second turn, he'll probably move up a level because, he just doesn't want to get assaulted. Or you can use buildings to block off because Knights can't go through buildings, stuff like that. So you'll find Jeremy's very fluid with his movement and his adaptance in versus the list. And when a unit of veterans veterans falls back, it can shoot later. It turns into Victor's fly.
Yeah, I just brought that up. So no, it does not have the fly keyword. So it
During
can't.
the days to move across the models if they were not there, and
Yep.
when moving across terrain, the distance not counted against the total of the models to move is pretty easy. So it's like fly, but not.
So yes, he can fall back and shoot,
punch a fly.
and the bike gives him fallback and charge. But no, the whole unit does not have the fly keyword. I thought that sounded a bit funky. So no, he can't go just charge a plane with his Terminators. That would have been bowler. Otherwise, I would have heard a lot more about this. I was pretty sure it was fall back and shoot and fall back and charge, and some pretty handy movement shenanigans as well. All right, so they're just determining, I think, some distances. I might head back over to the table and get a good look at some of the casualties, because we've seen a few Bullgren go down.
Yep.
And we've got a ton of Stormbolters. I think we're just determining how many of them were in rapid fire range, would be my guess.
At least a handful.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%, George. Falling back and shooting with units like Deathwatch are phenomenal.
This army, this Deathwatch army, the utility that you get, I mean, there's pretty much just two weapon profiles, Stormbolters and Cyclone, and that's about it. But the different tricks you can do is insane.
So he's doing the wounding on 2 strat, and he obviously got his targeting elites, I don't think. Because he wasn't re-rolling ones to wound them. But he's definitely forcing Adam to roll some 2-ups for sure.
Yeah, so he's just taken the Cyclones to the face, and he passed his saves.
Yeah.
So, what were the Cyclones shooting? So all the Cyclones in Jeremy's army, every single one of them has shot at the Relic Battle Cannon Lehman Russ, and the last couple Adam has rolled pretty good, and not sure, he normally counts down with his dice, but it might not be the case for Lehman Russ. But he's either got 4 wounds left or 4 wounds taken, which is a big difference.
So the Watchmaster's doing some work.
The Watchmaster.
Just with the amount of rerolls he's doing. The tank commanders can't take cover. They've been FAQ'd that it's an infantry-only strat now. So, no. Guard gets kicked in the crotch again by GW. But with those speeders and the fact that he's on an area terrain, he might be getting cover by being obscured and being on terrain. But I don't know.
It depends on how they've ruled it. Also, what's the AP of the crack rocket?
-2.
Yeah, so he's taking 5 up saves, I think is what he said.
Yeah.
So that would suggest no cover, I believe.
Yep.
Because they're 3 up saves,
3 up,
right?
Yeah, 3 base.
Yeah, so 3. Yeah, so that kind of that works. All right, so we've seen one of the infantry squads just explode on the bottom left-hand corner.
Yep.
And that was I believe it was a plasma squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this going for a charge now?
Yeah, so the veteran squad on the left-hand side have just charged in against the scouts on the left-hand side. So that was just a 5-man veteran squad.
Charging into the 5-man scouts?
Yeah.
Yeah. This might be a character, I think.
He just rolled an 8, so yeah, that was going to be a character charging in, I believe one of the Libbies. He's left a space for the Libby to get in.
Yep.
So the Libby failed the charge, I believe, and I say bail of time. So he just re-rolled the charges.
Yep.
Those scouts are going to probably just explode. Those Terminators have chain fists, but it really depends on whether or not Jeremy goes to kill them in this turn or kill them in in Adam's turn.
Yeah. So you can hear the language coming from him because it's getting picked up by one of the mics. Jeremy's just going through essentially what his intent is. So that way Adam's not, there's no real, like you said, there won't be any gotcha moments or anything like that. He's like, this is what I'm planning to do. I'm going to bubble out here, do this, do that. So when he does it, Adam knows full well. It's just like, okay, if I'm calling it by mil of an inch, I'm not going to call you on that because you told me, ahead of time that was your intent. So if it's close enough by a mil, Adam's not going to pull it on him.
Exactly.
It makes the game so much smoother. Well,
and the unit on the right-hand side, just who's charging the infiltrators, just rolled a 12-inch charge.
Wow, fast boys.
So he's moving up so as only a couple of the models are going to get hit by the looks of it.
So it's going to be really good.
He's got a wrap.
Yeah, so he's going to wrap him. But on top of that, it's going to extend, getting 12 inches is going to extend the charge of the Bullgren across that fly. And
yep.
Because you might be looking around about an 8 to 9 inch charge, depending. Oh, sorry, not charge, but like say might be about 8-9 inches away. So the Bullgren will make it in there. But you've got obstacle on objectives regardless.
You do. It's also worth pointing out that those Bullgren, because of the casualties, are currently out of coherency, which isn't a big deal. But the Bullgren, because the Bullgren on the 3 Bullgren on the left, sorry, the Bullgren on the far left will have to go 6. The Bullgren next to that will probably have to go like
2 to
5,
3.
Maybe only 4 inches.
Yeah.
The next one will only be able to go like 4 inches. And so you'll actually find that they're actually not going to get much movement at all.
Yeah.
Because that conga line effect, they all need to maintain coherency.
Yep.
And it also would mean that he's just leaving his left flank open. So I guess the trick is whether or not the Bullgren go to the right or they go to the left.
I think the Bullgren will have to go to the right because right now when he wraps him, the tank commanders can't really do much. Whereas you got the 2 speeders and the tank commanders can pour firepower onto the left.
Yeah, so, and there's more objectives on the right hand side of the table.
There is, but until Jeremy starts, we know whoever placed that objective 4 was expecting a long game of fighting over it. So I was fairly certain that maybe Adam would have placed that one because it's been very similar to like the last 3 stream tables where that 4 has been in the middle of no man's land.
Yep.
So someone who's confident in firepower usually puts objectives in the open.
So Jeremy did 3 wounds, and Adam saved all of them.
Yep.
That was on the infiltrators on the right-hand side.
Is Jeremy ready to lose 4 veterans now?
And interestingly, I was expecting Jeremy on the left-hand side combat to not attack with the power fists and whatnot, and just use close combat weapons and kill him in Adam's turn. But no, he's gone in and he's used his power fists, and he plans on killing the whole unit.
I think it's because there's a small depleted squad in front of his characters. If he locks that unit, that might give, with the speeders, because they move so far, if he moved them up into the building, or vice versa, you might be able to make the characters closer to the speeders, and using your 2 tank commanders, you'd be able to kill the troops out. So it'd be the case of going. He's given Adam multiple options, multiple squads now that he can target.
Yeah.
So
tough one, because
yeah.
Adam has 1 scout alive that just passed morale and is not engaged in combat, and was not in a position to be wrapped.
Yep.
So yeah, he has he's given the left hand field, left hand flank for Adam is targetable, which, as I said, he could have if he had instead just locked the scout, he could have had a situation where those tank commanders had 0 targets.
Oh no, they would have had like the 6 or 7 vets surrounding the 2 characters, and that's not a lot of threats. Like, that's not a lot of bodies for the firepower Adam can bring.
No, so are you talking about the left-hand flank, left-hand side?
Yep.
No. So yeah. No, so the right-hand side. I'm gonna come draw, and hope they'll explain what I'm saying a little bit more.
Yep.
All right, back at the desk. So what I'm suggesting is over on the left-hand side, there were 5 scouts. One has been removed. He made the charge with the 2 veteran squads over there. And if he had not... so if he just effectively only hit with 1 model from each squad and not with any powerful weapons, you would have had the situation where he could have then moved and wrapped the scouts and then punched and killed in Adam's turn. But the characters that were circled by that veteran squad, which tags around, were protected. So they could.
So that's 1 squad like that.
There's a small squad and then a big squad. So that if he had stayed tagged, the only targets for the Lehman Russ would have been the top right-hand corner veteran squad. Everything else would have been untargetable.
Yeah, sorry, that big veteran squad that's used to like horseshoe the characters, I thought was a separate squad. So it's actually a small squad and then a larger squad with a tendril back to the characters.
Yep.
Right. Yep, sorry, I thought it was the other way around. That was like big 10-man and a front down near the ejectors.
Yep.
And he used a small squad to screen out with. No, so, no, fair enough.
Big thank you to Blaze Be Mad. Really appreciate the support and the follow. If you do enjoy what you're seeing here, feel free to hit follow on the Twitch channel. Give us a like over at Facebook. And if you really love what we're doing, head over to patreon.com/downunder_network and give us some love.
Alright, if I'm just, while Adam's going through his movement, I'm just going to check on my girl. She's down for a nap. So
do it. Do your thing. All right. So the Relic Battle Cannon is looking to line up that larger vet squad, with the Punisher, Lehman Russ, looking at lining up the squad up the top right-hand corner. The Bulgaren have V-lined for the veteran squad, so he is. It does look like he's committing to that right-hand side. As I said previously, I was surprised to see Jeremy commit so hard to that top left-hand corner where there's only one objective, but maybe he felt that he had to. And objective 2 is worth 2 victory points at the end of this turn, versus the rest that are only worth a 1 victory point. So before the round started, if I jump on over to Down Under Pairings for a second. The predictor. So, according to Down Under Pairings, Mr. Adam Camilleri has a reasonable advantage over Mr. Jeremy Martino with their win-loss ratio. Their head-to-head guard has an advantage over a Deathwatch with 7 wins versus 4. And whereas Deathwatch overall has a higher win ratio than the Astra Militarum. All in all, what does that mean? Well, according to the stats, Mr. Adam Camilleri went in with a slight advantage over Mr. Martino. And I feel, looking at the list, knowing the players, I think that's about right. I think Adam probably goes in with a bit of an advantage, but not a major one. It's not a cakewalk. He really does have to. Work to get it. You can see that Talonmaster and and Samael have jumped over to the right hand side. So it looks like they're going to do probably a combination of between the 2 speeders and the Punisher. They're going to try and focus on the veterans in the top right-hand corner, and then with the Bullgrin and the 2 speeders, head on in to punch up the veterans. And the battle tank commander has headed to the right as well. So it does look like Adam has just abandoned the left-hand flank to focus on the middle to right-hand side of the table, where there is, of course, 4 objectives. I think that's the right call. Is Jeremy really on 0 CP? I do not believe so. I believe he just they haven't updated it. I might go in and put in the scores for them to make life a little easier.
No, I don't know if it's been addressed or not. I'll pop, but I don't think.
Alright. Fill out the scores. I'm going to go on mute so that I don't pick up too much background noise.
So what's the chat think of so far? Is there anything you guys would have just going from here happening? Sexy. The good thing I like about Games Workshop is they've had a busy couple of years. If you also look at holistically with their games, like they've launched 3 sub-game sets plus AOS Big Revamp. But the good saving grace for 40k, so it doesn't go stale and stagnant, is the Vigilus campaigns, or the Faith and Fury now, where every army gets a little bit of a touch up, which means that we're not waiting 10 years for a codex redo and you're stuck with the same boring stuff time and time out. Everything gets a little bit more flavour.
All right, so those scores are up to date. Same with the CP. So Adam is ahead by quite a bit. So Adam is ahead by 4 on Eternal War and 2 on Maelstrom. And they both got first strike. And Adam is on 10 CP to Marigold's 8. It's an interesting. I'm not sure if I missed some of the commentary regarding Real Grumlin's comment about
Not yet.
always tough to win if you are not setting the stage. Jeremy is a very reactive player. As in the 2019 Australian ETC team, where I was coaching, it was always interesting with Jeremy because he was one of the players that managed to really put the pedal to the floor in the last few turns. So he holds back, peppers away. So pretty much he's dealt with a couple of things on the sides. He's been using his Cyclones to try and take out some of those Lehman Russ. Peppered away at the Bullgrins. And on the most part, hasn't taken a huge amount of damage himself. So yes, he hasn't taken a huge amount of board presence. That being said, he is currently holding the top 3 or objectives on the right-hand side and the objective on the left-hand side, but he won't be by the end of this turn. So it's not that he still got board presence. He has split his army in 2, and Adam is able to focus on one side, and with that side being the one with the more objectives, while just completely abandoning the left-hand side of the table, because other than 3 Cyclone missile launches on the left-hand side, Jeremy doesn't have any shooting to take on the rest. But I wouldn't count him out just yet. He can definitely get back to that objective 2 and objective 1 with the left flank, and veterans aren't that easy to budge when they've got storm shields and 3 Terminators a pop.
There's a big thing to note as well. It depends. Bullgrim, while they are a boogeyman and they're highly resilient and put out a lot of damage, if Jeremy gets them down to the point where Adam still feels he needs the Bullgrim on the left for ejectors and all that, because as soon as those veterans, the Scions come out, they die. We've seen that, even with the cover on the missile platform on the bottom left. Jeremy just picked up that unit without even breaking a sweat and still managed to pump fire into the Bullgrins and whatnot. So if Adam's trying to leave Bullgrin across there, Jeremy could actually springboard that to lock the Bullgrin and just rely on knowing the whole Duke out, because he's troops and Bullgrins aren't. So he can actually sit in the centre there whilst locking the Bullgrin, which sounds really weird. But if Jeremy peppers them enough to get them down to 3 Bullgrins, you will lock them and you'll stay on the ejector the entire time. And then that's relying on, Samuel and the Talon to come into combat to try and bail them out, which is a risky prospect given how many chain fists Jeremy has in those units and, whatnot. So
100%.
I don't, just because he's not balls out space, he is dictating a lot. Like the redeployment of one of his vet squads to come in and dominate that flank. There is still 3 objectives on the other side of the board. It's just not so apparent. But moving to the centre objective where the Bullgrins are and Adam's hat is right now, that is the 3rd objective that Jeremy's actually quite poised to take advantage of. Because you don't really want to have speeders all the way back up into where Jeremy's elbow is now.
Yep. So it looks like that top right-hand corner has been peppered peppered by the tanks and a few others.
Yep.
I'm not 100% certain just how many are left. I might just yell out to Dean to have a quick peek for me.
It goes back to what we were trying to say at the start, a lot of cat and mouse games are happening here, so it's a bit of probing, a bit of weakening of units. turn 3, 4 onwards, once, essentially both players are waiting on a little bit of dice rolls. Jeremy pretty much negated Adam's shooting first turn by his deployment. The majority of things are out of line of sight. That forced Adam to burn some CP with some speeder strats just to move a speeder up to get shots, and then had to burn CP to make sure it was safe. That when you're playing against guards, especially with the tricks that Adam's got with the Dark Angels, it's very like playing Elder. You've just got to weather their CP abuse, and then once they start running out of CP, it comes down to, then you can be a bit more bold in your plans because you're not going to have stuff pulled on you.
Yep. So for those playing at home, we've read a couple of rules on the veterans. Here's a fun one for you. What is the special rule that the Terminator gives to a unit of veterans? Apparently it doesn't matter because he's dead now. So the veterans, the Terminator makes them effectively fearless. They auto-pass morale. There was one model remaining, which is the stream down? I don't think so.
Well,
Good, just you. All right. Yeah, actually, I should know because Josh is commentating via watching it. Yes, so he managed to get that veteran squad down to one Terminator, and I'm not actually sure what he shot at it to kill that last one, but that last Terminator, I believe, has bitten the dust. The Bullgrins have made their charge. Yeah, Bullgrins have made the charge, which was the more risky of the units. I guess the Talon Master at the back also probably has a lengthy charge as well, but... so Samael just rolled real big, I think, on the charge distance. So he's managed to get over to the other side. And the Talon Master has definitely rolled big enough as well. So, yeah. So now we're seeing that right-hand flank really start to disappear.
Was that 3 10-plus charges then?
It looks like it.
Oh my God.
So he's activating the Bullgrins first.
Drug test that man. Drug test that man.
I need a dun dun dun. I think this is the closest I've got to a funky sound for crazy shenanigans. And yeah, I think what we need to do is I should do a poll, probably on the Facebook page, and ask what should all the sound effects be. I think the obvious ones I need are. Let me put that volume up. And but a few others would be nice.
I think that main one where it's like, wow, that's really good, should be one of them.
You know who else I need? Wow. Who's the I've just gone blank on the come on, work with me. The actor's name. Come on, those in the chats. No sound effects. No sound effects. Cheesy is fucking annoying. Oh, come on, Blaze, be mad. They're a bit of fun.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey.
No, it's...
All right.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. All right. Oh, and I probably need from Dodgeball. That's a bold move, Carton.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to it. So these veterans are just disappearing. It looks like he has removed all bar, I think, the Vanguard veteran and a couple of models at the back. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Yeah, see? Come on, Blaze, you mad. This is the attitude we should be having.
All right, we'll go have a peek. So, character? All right. All right. So on the right-hand flank, so it turns out there is still some veterans in reserve because Jeremy did say he could just drop over here and vape some ale. I don't know if that's 100% accurate, but we can give it a go.
You just got to believe, Diff. Just believe in yourself.
I believe I can fly.
So they crossed out playing lengthways. This game's going to be playing lengthways.
Yeah, they've turned it into hammer and anvil. The other game, I'll go check out a couple of other games. So the second top table with the Crons versus Chaos. There are still 3 Doomsides and 3 Doomsdayers. Matt Morrisoli just told me to come back in 5 minutes. It sounds like it's going to be pretty big turn. So I might step away. But it does look like there's a Demon Prince or 2 in combat with some Doomsides. So I reckon there's a good chance Matt's going to just obliterate a couple of those.
I've seen Matt roll. It's not going to happen.
Alright, I'll try and make sure I get an updated score in there for you. Maelstrom Adams up by 3. And Eternals is up by 4.
So the big thing that you'll note when you see decent players is the amount of pre-measuring that they do. So they leave nothing to chance. It's like he's measuring back maximum range that he needs to hit the Bullgrins while staying out of range of the spears, or at least forcing the spears to come at max range back. All good traits of what you want to do, minimizing your damage.
So there is still some Scions in reserves. I'm not 100% certain how many there are.
Probably just
possibly. Just once again, good sportsmanship here. So in the midst of the combat phase on the right hand side, Adam did not consolidate his Bullgrin. So Jeremy has let him to do the consolidate, which does pull at least one of those Terminators, Cyclone Terminators, out of range. So once again, good sportsmanship there. But there's a mistake. Coming back to one of the previous questions, what mistakes do we see people make where we say, what the fuck? I would say it's basic things. Like, it's usually not a rule. It's usually, I forgot to do this move, or I forgot to make this charge, or I forgot to do the consolidate. Those sorts of things, rather than big ticket items. How many Scions are in reserve? Oh, okay, so those were just infantry before. Okay, cool. So all the Scions are off the table. That unit that was in the bottom left that died earlier was just a standard unit of infantry.
All right, I'm going to have to go back through this Twitch chat and make sure I note down some of these fantastic sound effect ideas.
So I'm just bringing up Camilleri's list again. So he's got, so he does have the 30 infantry to go with the tank commanders.
Yep.
And then he's still got 2 squads of 10 plasma scions.
Yep.
And then 1 squad of 5 grenade launcher scions.
Yes. And they're, so all those three, so all 25 of those mans plus the Tempestus Prime dude are still in reserves. So we're seeing a unit of vets, which, if my maths are right, has to be the last unit of vets to be placed.
Yep.
And he's looking at dropping them down to focus fire on Samael. So I think, once again, if we're coming back to the plays that we think were potentially mistakes, I would say having Samael go over the top. He didn't need to. He didn't. I don't think. And so as a result, he's now swinging with it in the wind, so to speak. Unlucky. So the question is there enough damage there to take out the Bulgrin and the speeders? I don't think there's enough to take out both. There is a...
No. But there is also the fact that there's the charge to follow up if that's the way he's inclined.
Yep.
It's a case of what does he do to answer the Bulgrins. And you're still reinforcing a flank with 2 Lehman Russes.
Oh, exactly. And you've still got
Which
the
could be
silence drop. So what it would be one of the plays Adam can pull is he can always if the veterans that have just been dropped don't clear the units and or they fail their charge, then you could see the scions drop behind and just pepper away at the veteran squad. It is one of those things. 3+ storm shields. If they roll hot enough, you might not get it done, but I would suggest that it should be okay. Always redeploying that vet unit.
Yep.
So he's left a couple of models on the right side of that. Right side of that ruin wall to make sure that he's still holding that objective, because I believe he scored either secure or defend that objective number.
Yep. And failing that, when it comes to combat and whatnot, you can remove all the chaff out the front, and then you're left with troops still in the objective out of line of sight.
Exactly.
If the combat goes forward. I might have to take a quick break. Wife's got home with the shopping.
Go for it.
I will be back.
I'll be back. All right. So this is once again for those that have just joined us. This is the final round of the Victorian 40k Masters. This is for the gold. The winner of the Victorian 40k Masters gets an invite to the ANZ Team Champion. ANZ 40k Masters. I'll get my events around the right way at some stage. Both of these players are veterans of the pointy end of a tournament. Adam has been on the Australian ETC team twice already and is heading into his third for 2020. And Jeremy's played in this year's ETC team and is going into his second ETC for Team Australia in 2020 as well. So they're teammates, they know each other. There's a lot of give and take within this. There's no gotcha moments. They're being quite gentlemanly, I guess I would say, with some of their, not really take backsies, but just the ability to do things slightly out of sequence.
In the back.
Welcome back.
Still moving or in shooting? Yeah,
We've
shooting.
just started the shooting phase. So I believe these are the Cyclones. So he just CP re-rolled, so I'm assuming that was to try and make a save on the Lehman Russ. So those Vanguard vets that just dropped, sorry, the veteran squad that just dropped, on the most part, the Bullgren are still the closest unit, so I don't think he's really been able to drop down and get the right angles to really unload onto Samael, so I think he's just given up on that idea effectively. And here come the Stormbolters. Bucket of dice.
Yeah. So you might have been doing, if you put the Terminator on the left hand, that was measured to 9 inches to Samuel, so you might have been trying to snipe him with just the Cyclone. And then
No, there's nothing on that side. He did originally have something on that side.
Right there.
And then he just moved them all to the other side of the wall. So I don't believe, yeah. All right. Jeez. I thought he was just picking up a ridiculous number of dice to roll saves. He does. All right.
Yeah, hitting Mooney on 2s, and if he's blind, he's struck to reroll wounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That was, did he pass all those saves?
All bar 3, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. Comparatively, it was he killed the same amount of Bullgren as he did with his first turn, firing everything into it. So
Yep. Okay, so the Cyclones just shot and managed to kill another 2.
Yep.
So we do just have the 2 Bullgrens left. Man, he rolled shit hot. All right, a little confusion about who can do with the window. I'm just going to fill out some scores for them. If you want to talk some shit.
all right, chat. So, what would you do if you're in Adam's position going into next turn? Currently, what's your thought process?
All right, so we're sitting at 5 CP for Jeremy, so 6 still left for Jess.
Yep.
We've got some miscellaneous shooting coming out now. All right, so that was the shooting phase. We've still got 2 Bullgren left and both speeders at full capacity. So he's just trying to work at the order in which he does the charges and who has to soak up the Overwatch. So the big unit's charging Samael. Lots of shots, hitting on 6s with rerolls. He missed every single shot and then hit 2 with rerolls. So no damage was done.
Lucky.
All right, so the charge was failed.
Because he only declared the Bullgren. No, he didn't declare the Bullgren.
He didn't declare the Bullgren. It doesn't matter if he declared the Bullgren because he just dropped, so he needed a 9.
Ah, right.
So yeah, so regardless of how many units he declared, he could have declared every single unit there.
Sorry, I thought that was from... What's the little red dude with the blue weapon? What's that?
It's a very good question, my friend. It is a character. I believe it's a jump pack librarian, but it could be... Yeah. Sorry, it's a Watchmaster. This is not my what I like to see at the top tables of a competitive event. A mismatch of models representing roughly what it is meant to be. But
Well, that was an ineffective turn for Adam. Sorry, for Jez.
Yep.
Yeah, just not getting the job done with the damage output, and
You can see, though, why Jez is on the top table. Like, fair enough, he's been shooting against Bullgren, but just the amount of wounds that come through, and if it isn't for Adam's 2-up saves, like, it's insane how much damage just one veteran squad can do, and he can do that 4 times.
Yep. Australia, the land of the earthquakes. I'm not sure if that's referring to the slight shakiness that we've got this weekend. I'm assuming that's the reference. Unfortunately, the tables that we've got available to us here, normally we've got the trestle set up slightly different, but the trestles that we've got with the camera frame on it are the same tables that have the actual gaming table on it. And what we've seen is a bit of leanage. So as players lean on the table, the whole table shakes. So I believe that's the cause. There also could be some fans going. So we're gonna work out a way of mounting that to something else that is immovable, if you will. Earthquacks, giant ducks. Where's Swole Duck when you need him? He's an earthquack right there.
Don't say his name. You'll summon him.
Beetlejuice. All right, so they're just tallying up some of their scores, for which they will not put them in their score sheet like they're meant to. Literally, out of all the people at this event, Adam should know what the fuck he's meant to be doing with the score sheets. Oh, well.
They're in the zone, okay? They're in the zone.
Ah, exactly. Especially top table. Yeah, you just let it go. and I'll just rip into him afterwards.
Yeah, for a good 6 months.
Oh yeah.
Every time he brings it up on stream where he's like, players aren't putting their shit in. He's like, well.
Yep. All right, so those infiltrators have just made it a big advance roll, and they are heading up to try and take the objective in the top right-hand corner. I think that's relatively achievable because we've still got the same amount of shooting damage to focus on that veteran squad at the top right, which took out a veteran squad last turn, so there's no reason to suggest he can't do it again. So at the moment, he's just trying to make sure he keeps those Lehman Russ out of range of the Cyclone Missile Launcher Terminators.
Yeah. So confirming this is turn 3 now? Top of?
Yes. Yes, because he still has some Scions to drop.
We'll see. We'll see if he remembers.
Yeah, I know. And
Can't put his scores in.
Yeah, can't put his scores in, and if he forgets those Scions, he's dead to me. I don't know if I'd let him. What would you do?
You just extend the hand and go.
GG.
I get in trouble all the time. I let people do their shit. I look at it and go, if I was to be beaten, it's one of those things where I'd expect that someone's playing the top of their game. I'm not going to go.
Yeah, no, I agree.
It's a little bit different because I've got more people resting on me. But when it comes to singles, I look at it and go, how can I walk away from a table and go, oh yeah, I just beat this person because I let them not put 25 levels on the board.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's sort of this value. I'd rather beat you at your best, or not.
Yeah, I know. I 100% agree. 100% agree. Because otherwise, it's just was it really a victory?
Yeah.
But
team events, it's one of those ones where I do take the different approach, where it's just like I've got 7 other people relying on me. In case of, I don't ask to take anything back. Like it's a case of going, your poise should go, if I have forgotten something, it's just like I'll make it known to my opponent. I'm like, oh shit, I forgot that. And if they go on, you go like, thank you, because I'll always let them. But I'm like, I'll never really sit there and go, oh, do you mind?
Yep. And Real Grumlin has put out a very, very good suggestion there. He or she is quite flexible if someone forgets something once and they remember before we have moved on to a phase where the non-action influences a decision. And I agree with that. So if you were to forget to consolidate, or there are a number of scenarios. It's usually movement based, but as long as you haven't learnt something that you that would affect what the next decision making process was. Like forgetting to move a unit out from behind a ruin, you could argue might be a mistake. But if you thought you could kill everything and then, I didn't kill everything, now I'm going to bring out a unit so I get another unit to shoot. You could argue that you've now learnt something that you shouldn't have known during the movement phase.
Yeah, so normally it's one of those things where there's a couple of guys.
First place gets a TV.
We've been looking for a bit harder games, and
I've just had the TO just pull the TV off the table and walk past. I'm assuming it's his.
He's getting paid.
Fucking Victorians.
So the biggest thing that I always say to them is write it down. Like let's say crons. Because we were watching crons in the earlier stream, so there's a lot of start of phase things, a lot of start of turn things and stuff like that. So it's like most armies are the same. Like where your army interacts in what phases of the game. So just have a little run sheet with you. So that way, like you only have to do it a couple of times, or even the action of writing it out. Have a look over it pre-game, start turn 1. You don't need to do it all the time, but yeah. Yeah, Tau players. It's like, no, there's no excuse.
There are no Tau players here this weekend either. Two factions that have done quite well, I think, of late. Well, over the last 6 months at least.
Are you saying Victorians have standards? Is that why there's no Tau, no Elder?
Something like that. It's also interesting to see at Vic Masters, I would argue the 5 people who came into the event with the biggest chance of winning. 2 of them are on the table right now. Morrisoli and Robert Lane and Lee Abbey. None of them took Iron Hands. None of them took the Raven Guards or Salamanders rubbish. They all took lists that they were already familiar with. And Reps beats what's a good one? What's a good way of referring to it? Reps beat bandwagon jumping, really. All right, so seeing
it comes back down to. Yeah, sorry. It comes down to there's a lot of stuff. And I'm like, it is true. Like, I think when we're looking at the pinnacle here, like this is the pinnacle of Victoria when these guys are pushing the envelope, they know exactly what to do, and they place a unit out, they know how many wins they've done this. You know, like we talked about Matt before, it's like how many times do you think he's been in this exact situation when he's had, you know, like X amount of bloodletted bombs to drop and resource management and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I find that the bandwagon helps sort of the mid-pack to lower 25% of gamers, like the bottom tablers, will have an inherent hip because their army just performs so much better that their playstyle, you know, isn't really needed. But when you get top tables, it's like, you know, like have a look at Iron Hands in regards to what Jeremy would have done to it first turn when his entire army's out of the thing. And you go, Iron Hands, you've just negated a whole 5-power shooting turn. The game ends turn 5. You only got shot 4 times.
Yep. I think,
things like that, so.
Yeah, I think where you really start to see some meta warping shit happen is when someone who's already playing a faction, their faction gets a boost. When I say someone, I'm talking like top tier player. You know, Robert Lane's been doing really well with Crons. Crons suddenly gets a boost. You're not going to see all these non-Cron players jump to it, or the top tier players aren't going to suddenly jump to Crons. But Rob, who's been playing Crons quite successfully, would then just get that extra boost. You know, and the same with if Deathwatch got yet another boost, you know, Jez would have a huge advantage.
Yeah. Or guard, or, you know, like, so. But it is good, though. Like, I don't think any one of these games that we've seen across the stream is anyone sort of just sitting on a list. They're all unique. They're all very beautifully crafted to, you know, perform well to not only this mission pack, because it is a little bit different, but overall across, like, the meta. So, like, how long has it been since you've seen Silence with plasma guns?
Yep.
And then when Marines are becoming a thing, they're back in the list, and Adam's, even though he hasn't really gone against them, he's still performing quite well with them. You know, down to the choices of what he wants to do with his support elements or the hammers. You know, so he's taken 2, not 3 tank commanders, which has forced him, you know, to get in the 3rd battalion with the 2 characters. You know, so he hasn't oversaturated. So taking out elements to his list, it's like, okay, you buy Pauline Russ's turn, that's okay, because I've still got, you know, 3 to 4 different elements I can attack you from.
Yep. In answer to Paddle Pop Poodle's question, all these scores are victory point differential. So from an Eternal War standpoint, Adam is 3 points ahead. And Maelstrom War is 4 points ahead. Kill points is 1 point ahead, and so on. So the person who is down on points in one of the 3 categories has 0 in their score, and Adam just happens to be, in this case, ahead on all 3 categories. That being said, the scores haven't been entered for this turn. So we'll see. So those drop scions came down, and I believe were Auspex scanned, and a huge chunk of them were then removed. And then the second unit of plasma scions dropped down as well.
Over, and we'll take a closer look at some of the carnage. I'm assuming that was Auspex scan. Yeah.
Tell Jeremy you got unlucky. I was expecting the whole unit to disappear.
Well, he killed all but three. He killed all but three. So. Yep. All right, so the Watchmaster has just been eaten.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Roll one, Punisher. Yep. Which app are you using? So, for whatever reason, Adam and Jeremy agreed for the Punisher to use an app to calculate the wounds, which was interesting to watch in person. So, because it was able to put in reroll ones and all that jazz, and so rolled a hit, rolled a wound, really sped up that process. Ended up with 17 wounds against the vet. Crazy.
So splitting onto Terminators?
Yeah, he just took the wounds on Terminators.
Yeah.
So we've removed one Terminator. So the grenade launchers are now shooting at the Death Watch. So there's a unit of 5 scions up the top right-hand corner, which just happen to have grenade launchers. Which is a good choice because it allows you to then push those forward onto those objectives, and then once you clear that area, leave that area and leave 5 useless scions just holding an objective or 2.
Yeah. So real when you come into Maelstrom, just bust out your deck, put it out on your kitchen table, whatever, and have a good look over. Split them into categories of you can see a percentage based of how many are what you need to kill, what you need to hold, and stuff like that. So you can look at roughly what are percentages of basically what you're going to draw. If you're drawing like 3, you have to go across your mission pack. But you should basically be drawing, 1 to 2 scoring ones and one or so kill ones. Adjust your list based on that. Because that's if it's pure mouse. Having the ability to move, having the ability to reposition something quickly, you go get a card, weighs more strength than killing ability.
Yeah, so the veterans are down to 1 Terminator, 1 Marine, and a bike.
Yeah, they're just getting pumped.
Yep.
Which, if they didn't make that charge, we knew it was going to happen.
Yep.
Jeremy, I think, made the decision where it's like I could potentially topple a character, Bulgrin, and, maybe lock. Because he had enough CP. Mental 30 units, but because he failed that one charge. He's just opened up to all the 5 pounds.
Yep. So what we've got left is an individual Terminator. That was
Brutal.
yeah.
Goes back to the style of list as well. Like losing a veteran squad like that does equate to roughly, a fifth of the list.
Yeah.
Of it. So yeah, big turn.
Yeah, massive turn.
Because we've still got the list in the link in the chat, that 4 up, so you can have a look at exactly what Jeremy's taking. But he lost a watch captain and pretty much a bet sport because of Tony sitting in front of Samuel there with 1 win. He's not going to last.
Yeah, absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal. And
it was the Cyclones as well that went with that veteran squad. And I think Adam's still got 10. Oh, no, he should have nothing because it's turn 3.
Yeah, Adam went first. So Adam's definitely got nothing left in reserves, and he put the Scions. So the 2 unit of Plasma Scions dropped in the bottom left-hand corner. So in that piece, that ruin, Jeremy Auspex scanned the first drop and killed, I believe, all but 3 of the Plasma Scions. And then the small unit of 5 Scions dropped in the bottom right-hand corner. Which was interesting. I get the concept. I'm not 100% certain why he dropped there and rather not down closer to like objective 4. I feel as though he could have achieved the same result.
Those Adam, that's his infiltrators, isn't it?
His infiltrators, yep.
Yeah, so Adam's got infiltrators, so the sign's just going to drop to go, I've got line breaker and I can flirt with whatever numbered objective is on the right there. The speeders can control the one in the centre. And then you've got tanks and speeders at long range at the remainder of the squad. So, ways that Jeremy can't.
I was just thinking that the dropping the Scions closer to objective, below objective 4, would have meant that the infiltrators could have pushed up and a lot easier, I should say, and taken the top 2 objectives, leaving the 2 speeders to completely redirect. But that's just semantics at that point. Samael was able to come in and take out the last win on the Terminator. So Jeremy is relegated to the left-hand side of the table, where he has 1.5 units of veterans and most of the characters, and no real way of getting back in the fight on the right-hand side other than what I believe is 3 Cyclone missile launchers. So Jeremy should be able to walk on over and clear objective 2, I think. But he's got to be careful about it, because if he's not careful, then and remains out in the open, those speeders can redirect, and with the right firing lines can take out those veterans. And if he gets the right lines, he should be able to also avoid some of the Cyclone missile launchers shots.
Yeah, it does seem bleak, but at the same time, because you guys are running a bit capped, like this, there's only so much use out of sitting on your Eternal Wars for so long, because it's accumulative, so you're going to get a 9+ cap regardless.
Yep.
Jeremy could opt to turn around and go, well, I'll worry about Maelstrom and kill points, and pull the differentials back that way.
Potentially, although Adam is ahead on kill points. That's not to say that Jeremy can't get back in. There is, I believe, 3. There may even be 4 kill points, because there might be the Scion commander in that little field as well. So I believe there's an infantry squad, 2 10-man Scion squads, and the commander. The Bulgrin's over on the the Bulgrin left is over on the right hand side, sitting on objective 4 currently. So that's, you could chuck some cyclones at that. Yeah, you could pop some cyclones at that.
That tank I'm not sure where that went to, but like he can't be super aggressive that bottom tank near the green tape measure because on last count it took about 4 wounds or only had 4 left. We didn't know which way he was counting up or down.
Yeah,
I would have hazarded a guess that he only took 4 wounds based off the rolls that I saw.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think it'll be a little much.
So he's only got about 8 wounds left on that one, so I wouldn't risk 8 wounds coming through that many cyclones. It sounds like a lot, but I'm using it 5 up saves and then D6 damage.
Yeah, just going to head on over. Counting up or down? Yeah, so it's got 4 wounds left. So that battle cannon, relic battle cannon Lehman Russ does have 4 wounds remaining. And all right, so there's actually quite a few units in that bottom left-hand corner.
There should be 2 infantry squads, 2 silent squads, 1 at 3, 1 at 10, and then a commander.
Yeah.
So it's 5.
So 2 silent squads, 1 infiltrator squad, 1 infantry squad, and I believe the commander. So that's 5.
Yep.
Also, depending on which order, I don't think Jez is going to be able to get through all of those in the shooting phase. So it should be fairly safe because most of those are out of line of sight on the bottom level.
It's the combat with no overwatch that we got to worry about.
Yeah.
So shoot the ones that can overwatch, and then charge in, kill, main, burn.
Might head back to that Chaos versus Kron table where I was told to come back in 5 minutes.
Yep.
About half an hour ago. So I've come back after 5 minutes.
Morrisoli and
Morrisoli versus Rob with the Chaos versus Krons.
Yep.
There are 2 sides still left. Counting up or counting down with wounds out of curiosity. Left.
Yep.
And the other one's about to die by being slapped by a demon prince.
Most what? Will you say that? What happened last time? Yeah, I know. Hey, you split fire.
So I thought they were all going to die.
Yeah, Morrisoli made it sounds like he made an error in his ways and trying to split his attacks between 2 sides.
Yep. No.
One of them went 3 and 3 and 2 1-wound doom sides. There's nothing to both of them.
Oh. Two doom sides had 1 wound each, and he split his attacks, 3 attacks onto each, and killed one and didn't kill the other.
Yeah.
Oh well.
All I took from that is you're bad.
I believe it's just roll better, isn't it?
Yeah. Just be better.
All right, so we've just had an absolute metric F ton of wounds.
Yeah.
All right, so the Scions are being peppered with ignore cover rounds and have just been removed.
I was going to say, I'm like, peppered, probably not what I'd use. Dunked on is probably close to it. So that was the other 10-man that wasn't Ozspec scanned?
That's correct. So
and he used the characters and other remnants take out the 3-man?
Yeah, so both Scion squads are dead.
Yep.
There was actually another kill point in that corner. There is a scout there's 1 lone scout left hidden in there as well. So the vets are declaring a charge, and they've declared all units in that area because none of them could overwatch.
Yeah. Look at those shoes from Jeremy.
They're fancy.
He is a man of style.
Yeah, he's all clean shaven at the moment as well, which is really doing my head in.
He was poised for a podium. See, he's dressed in the part, ready for the photos at the end. That's confidence.
So I think I would have previously referred to Jeremy's look as a hobo chic. Now it's I don't know what I'd go. Probably drug lord.
Yeah, kingpin.
Yeah.
Upper end coke dealer.
All right. So we've had two characters manage to get into one scout. So that scout, that's with Polak. The veteran squad made it into the infiltrators and the remainder of the infantry. And Adam has declared to simply remove the scout and not make.
What a nice guy!
Roll the dice. Yeah. I don't know. We think you should have made him roll the dice.
Yeah, tell him it's all coming down to the clock, mate.
I'm kidding. Kidding. Yeah. See, dice rolled.
So Totally Not Panics has joined in. So when you look at the score, they are updated up to this combat phase. So basically, Adam's got scores on board because he's ahead by those points because everything's differential. So Adam's currently 3 ahead on Eternal War, 4 ahead on Maelstrom, and 1 on kill points. This will probably see Jeremy open back more up to probably a positive 4 for this kill point term. And then with Eternal Wars, we might see that Eternal War drop a little bit. But this is only turn 4.
No, I think this is Jeremy's turn 3.
Sorry, this is bottom turn 3, yeah. So we're heading into turn 4, because Adam went first, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And at the moment, Adam is up by 1 kill point, but Jeremy's about to pick up a whole bunch.
Yeah. So Jeremy had a plan not come to fruition when he dropped his last squad of vets up to the top to try and take out Samuel and the Bulgrins and charge potentially into the infiltrators that you see on Objective 4 strung out. They failed charge and a watch captain made it in but didn't clear the Bulgrins. So a bit of a flop there, which was then in turn meant everyone that died. Right now what we're seeing is the removal of 2 silent squads, an infantry squad, a single wing scout, and possibly a commander. But yeah, that's where we're currently at.
Yeah. Kill points wise, I believe we are even now. Yep. So back to the 0 differential there.
Yeah, because of the big turn that Adam just had there with Jeremy removing a character and another squad, would have put him +3, and then
so we've got some attacks back, I believe, from the infiltrators. And Jez just put all the wounds on Terminators. And, yeah. All right.
Secure 6. Over there.
All right, so I'm just going to check out these Eternal Wars.
He's got 6, 1, and then the 5.
I'm not going to gamble.
So Adam is currently on 13 points. Sorry, no, Adam is on 11 points for Eternal War. He's on 14 points for Eternal War. So that puts Jez up by 3.
Yep.
And Maelstrom-wise, we are on...
No, wrong.
Never mind. Yeah, so we'll do it the right way for our viewers, rather, because they're not filling out the scores right anyway. So Jeremy, Adam is capped out on Maelstrom, because he is on 12 Maelstrom to 2, which would be 10, but capped out at 9, and kill points are 5 apiece. They both have first strike. They're realistically, because of the way they've turned it into a hammer and anvil game, will both end up with line breaker. So at the moment, Adam is up by 6 victory points. He's up by 6. He's capped up on Maelstrom, so he's technically up by 10 on Maelstrom. You're up by 3 on Eternal War, and kill points are even. And you both have first strike. So these guys have been filling out the scores on a piece of paper and not keeping track of the actual differential.
Yep.
And so neither of them actually knew who was winning.
Yeah, because it. Yeah, I don't know. What do you do when you play? Do you like to?
It depends on the mission.
Know who's winning?
I think it's important.
See,
I think if you're capping things out, so I think it's important for Adam to know that he has capped out Maelstrom.
Yep.
And that and things are even for kill points and so on and so on. I think that's important because it helps you make decisions. Because if it was not capped, then you just go for the most efficient way of getting points, right? But once you've capped out an area, you go, okay, I don't need to get any more Eternal War, for example. I'll leave this space and go pick up other points.
Yeah, I think the caps would alter my opinion. I think on a basic Eternal War and stuff like that, I don't really like if we're just adding it up. I just try and go for as best I can. But putting the caps in, if you know that you've got a 12-point lead, you're like, all right, I'll just need to watch when my opponent scores 3. Or scores 4, so I know that I'm only getting 8 points now. Yeah, I think that will. It's like in that game where it's like he had to hold 6, defend 2, or something like that. I think Adam just drew. So it's like he knows he's not going to go 1 for that. So it's more or less why would I move to do that if I'm already getting the cap for Maelstrom. So I'm not going to trade units or give up position on board to chase 1 point that I don't need.
Yeah, that's fair. Yep. All right. So
because
just looking over
the only way that.
Yep.
I was just saying, like the big one where we knew that these lists played to different strengths. So we've got a 4-wounded battle cannon that Adam's just moving now. Well, I don't know what the delay's like.
Yep.
But the kill points is still, it's iffy now because Jeremy's going to do a slight creep, but he's probably going to lose a unit by getting, the remaining 2 on that bottom board. We're worried about if this is round 4, potentially next turn might be the last turn, and does Samuel have enough to get over there to get the character to get ahead of that? So we're still looking at a very tight game regardless of what's left on the board or the board present, because it's come down to Jeremy being that reserve player, has been playing the mission.
Also, how ignoring the Astra Militarum units in that bottom left-hand corner, how quickly do veterans get through infiltrators?
Depends on how he's... Well, he's got still Terminators down that bottom thing, doesn't he?
Well, the problem is the Terminators have the Cyclones. And so the Terminators were, at least previously, and I'll have to have a better look, but I believe the Terminators are more central. Or actually even closer to Objective 6. So I don't think the Chain Fists are currently getting to hit, which would just mean veterans punching infiltrators.
Yeah, if that's the case. But there is consolidations and stuff like that. So reposition the Terminators 6 more inches.
Who
knows?
where I'm suggesting
Yeah, I know.
is if he wants to reposition the land speeders, does he have time to dart across behind this line of sight blocking terrain, or does he have to just play defensively?
I think the fact that Adam went first, he's got to keep the tempo up and keep making plays. Where Jeremy from the start is sort of predicting that, or he's been playing for it. So that's the set. Like, it just comes down to how much Eternal War. Objective 1, I think, will come down to it. As long as he can stop those infiltrators, stop the veterans crossing through into open ground, because that's a big distance. You won't be able to do it in one turn. Like, it'll come down to a pretty big advance roll, and you don't want to have a game decided on that.
Yep.
So it's more or less he'd have to try and gank at least one of those tanks and then start moving in through the building.
Yeah, so looking at the squad here, we've got one Terminator at the pointy end, maybe a second one.
Yep.
So one power maul and 5 regular veterans.
Yep.
Get to attack. All right. Yeah, so they're not. I don't see them getting through the infiltrators. Not in this round.
Not this turn, no. But he could lock, which is going to, once again, you can't shoot my character that I've left on objective 6 because of proximity.
Yep.
And then beat him in Adam's turn or potential turn.
Yeah. You could look at that either way. So we're about to go into Jeremy's turn.
Yep.
And that veteran squad does not have a bike or vanguard. So he can't fall back and shoot.
Yep.
So we've just gone into apparently they can fall back and shoot.
He might have a vanguard there.
Interesting. Can't see one, but unless the Terminators give them that ability as well.
Not sure. I don't have a Death Watch Codex on me. I'm sure he pulled this in.
Never mind. There is a vanguard. Yeah, scratch that. There's a vanguard
cool.
veteran. He's just hidden. Because basically Adam's Marine squad is black, and Jeremy's Marine squad is black. But Jeremy's Marine squad, his Death Watch squad, all of them have different coloured elastic bands on them, except for the Vanguard veteran model.
Yeah.
And so at first glance, it looked like the Vanguard veteran model was
Adams.
One of Adams. So he can fall back and shoot. He's just talking it through now with Adam. Because he doesn't have the bike, he can't fall back and assault. So from a Maelstrom standpoint, Jeremy drew Blood and Guts and Big Game Hunter. And so what he's hoping to do, fall back and shoot the tank commander with 4 wounds left, and use the characters to then move and charge against the infiltrators. Whether or not there's enough damage to get through what is 9 wounds of infiltrators in combat, I don't know. I mean, there's a librarian, so they'll have a force weapon.
The big thing to note, though, is Jeremy is currently getting Linebreaker.
He's currently getting what, sorry?
Isn't Linebreaker?
Yeah, he's getting Linebreaker.
Because regardless of how the models are placed, they're actually playing lengthways, Dawn of War. So longboard, they're not playing lengthways.
Yeah.
It's just how the game's ended.
Yeah. Both players will end the game with line breaker.
Yep.
From a CP standpoint, they've both got one apiece left.
Yep.
And we are in turn 4 for those playing at home. It's going to be a make or break turn for Jez. I think it's fair to say at this point it's definitely in Adam's favour, and Jeremy has to work out a way of clawing it back,
which he's known for.
Exactly, mate. When we went to Serbia, he was my boy. I'd always go to him and say, "How many points can you get me?" And he'd tell me a number, and I said, "Can you get me a couple more?" And he goes, "I don't know." And the next thing I know, he gave me 2 more points than I asked for. He knows his shit. Alright, so alright. So this is doing some shooting into the it's doing psychic powers. So he's doing psychic powers. So I believe that was a smite that did 3 wounds. Decided to just pretty much bypass the rest of his psychic phase because of time. He wants to make sure that he gets his turn. If this goes to turn 7, I think Jez is going to need it, and we'll see if we can get across the table. All right, and if I head on over to some of the other tables, if I head on over to Rob versus Matt, the night, all the dudes are gone. How are we looking, boys? Solid win to Matt. Hashtag Art of War Australia. And if I head on over to the Orcs versus Gene Stealer Colts, there is still a lot of Orcs and a lot of Gene Stealer Colts. So that's actually quite difficult to determine how the play how that's looking. Points wise, they're pretty much even.
What turn are they on?
Either 2 or 3. It could just be turn 2 or just the start of 3. Hard to tell. I mean, we've got a lot of bodies. There's a lot of combats going on. The infiltrators left. All right, 1 infiltrator remaining. And I believe the TO just called 15 minutes left in the round, which is quite different to the clock. So bear with me 1 sec. I'm gonna mute off.
Too easy.
All right. So I just wanted to make sure that that Dean the TO was aware that there was a bit of a disparity between the chess clock and the round time. They both have about 20-ish minutes on the clock, and there's only 15 minutes left in the round. 1-5.
Well, that comes down to players pausing.
There was no pause.
Volunteer to-
The time wasn't paused. What my guess is one of two things happened. There's no clear definition of what the. All right, so just confirmed they've got 10 minutes left each is what they've been given. Because the clock
Yep.
was roughly half anyway. So my guess is they started 20 minutes after the round started. People need to realize that the clock starts when the round starts, not when you get to the table. And definitely not once you finish deploying.
exactly.
The trick is, if I was someone that was now would I do it? I think when you get to the table, you should start the clock. First person at the table, start the clock and put it on your opponent. Well, in fairness, it's the person who gets the table the latest is the one holding up the start time. So they should be wearing the clock on them. Normally, we're talking a couple of minutes. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, moving forward, I ran trials in Queensland. I had my time within times. So my round times were, say 2 hours and 45 minutes. I only gave the players 2.5 hours. So I gave them 15 minutes to be used to get there, look through each other's lists, set up your objectives, the rough table deployment, not army deployment.
Yep.
And then I told everyone when to start their clocks. So someone should be on a clock now. And that was the start of the 2.5 hour round, which basically gave everyone an hour and 15 minutes to play their game.
It's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, fine. So it's more or less making sure that everyone is on top of their clock time and that someone is definitely doing it. But yeah, there's no reason why, if you're looking at it going, it's a bit hard to go round start. Like, you basically shave 5 minutes off if you're going to be the clock person.
Yep. So if we while we're waiting for them to decide what they're doing, just thought I'd bring up the leaderboard. So a couple of games have finished. So Robert Lane and Matt Morrisoli's game has finished, which puts Matt Morrisoli currently in the lead. However, the winner of this game will leapfrog. And the loser of this game, so if Adam was to lose by so if Adam was to get a 9-point loss, then I think Morrisoli is still ahead because of strength of schedule. If Jeremy was to get a 9-point loss, that would put him up to 72 points. So that put him into third place. So I think how many points does Jeremy need to make sure that it's Art of War in first, second, and third? Jeremy's on 63 points. He needs...
About 16.
No, he needs 7. 7 points will get him to 70 battle points, which will put him in third place.
Oh, Robert Lane's finished. Sorry.
Yeah, Rob Lane's finished. So so Jeremy needs 7 points to guarantee a podium. Adam has already guaranteed himself a podium. If he wins, he wins. If he loses, he's probably second. Actually, he might be third because Jeremy would be first. So, yes, Art of War is pretty much going to go first, second, and third at Vic Masters, which is pretty impressive. So, well done.
Yeah, the boys have been playing really well.
Well done to Art of War. All right. Okay, so those tanks are getting the hell out of Dodge. And one of them, it was determined that he couldn't fit between the edge of the table and the ruin, so he's gone as far as he can. Unfortunately for Adam, that's the wounded one.
Yeah.
Which a few Cyclone missile launcher shots should get the job done. If there's enough time. If there's enough time. And I believe, I'm not sure
Well,
the
they're
exact...
both down to single digits, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm not sure the exact number of characters, but there are a number of characters hiding in this piece of terrain right here. I might actually go back to roaming and because there's quite a few models that in Adam's list. You've got the Astropath, the special character Primera Psyker, you've got Ministorium Priest, the list goes on. Yeah, has he been able to hide them successfully or not is the question.
Alright, so 2 Cyclone missiles were able to hit the tank. 2 wounds.
Nice.
So some of the rockets had to shoot the infiltrators by the looks of it. Alright, so they've confirmed this is the last turn, based on how much time is left. Rather than go with the ETC death clock, which is, how the ETC works.
So shooting this unit off this objective could be a big swing.
Sorry, bro? What was that, mate?
Shooting at the infiltrators off the objective, which I don't think he's done, would have
No, he
been
hasn't.
holding 3-2.
Yes, that would have done that. So just filling out the scores. So what's the damage? Oh, they're doing the count. I'll walk away for the moment.
Okay, yep. Sorry, I had to mute myself. Girls are coming in.
Alright, so they're going through the points. I'm just going to help them put the scores.
So did you guys enjoy the game? Feedback on myself personally as a commentator and stuff like that, please let me know. I'll be aiming to do this a lot more in the future. So if there's particular topics that you want us to address or talk over while we're doing, because we've got a lot of game filler, because we don't want to more or less sit down and just go he rolled 7 sixes and he's targeting this, you guys can see that. It's like we want to try and use a bit of time for a bit of banter and outside of the game talking. So, no, but it's been awesome. You guys have been great. So thank you very much for having me. Yeah.
Final score, 16-4, in favour of Adam.
Very nice.
Yeah. Do you want to come on? All right, I'm just going to bring Adam over.
16-4, Georgie.
Holy shit.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. I'm a weary boy. Let's get this over a bit.
So the final
Is
scores.
Jeremy joining us?
I think he's just having a little breather at the moment, but we'll bring him over in a sec if he's keen. So we ended up with Adam 4 points ahead on Eternal Wall, 9 points ahead, capped at 9 points ahead on Maelstrom, and 1 point ahead to Jeremy on kill points. They both had First Blood and First Strike and Linebreaker, meaning 15-3 CP.
Hello. Yep.
Adam, are you still cheating with the Black Templar,
No,
Black Fortress
I
character?
caught that when I went home. I went up to my opponent. Literally, the very first thing I did when I came in today was apologise profusely to my opponent for fucking up with that character. I did get that off, I think, 3 times in that game, and they may have been pretty pivotal. Look, I don't want to be arrogant or presumptuous. I still think I would have won that game.
Yeah.
Just based on what had happened. I might not have gotten a 20. I told this to my opponent. I even went to Dean and said, Dean, can I give him some points? Can I actually just give him some points? I will give him 5 points. I will take a 15-5 out of that because I feel absolutely terrible about that. First time playing with that guy, absolutely unreservedly apologise to my opponent. I told him I'll buy whatever drink he wants whenever he wants. 2. I'll buy him 2 whatever he wants whenever he wants. Not you though. I know how expensive your tastes are. So yeah, absolutely biggest apologies for that fuck up. That was actually horrible. I felt bad.
The BSF character is the power only works on infantry.
Only. I put it on a tank commander a couple of times, so I feel pretty bad about that.
So we're going to jump on over to the pointy end. So if I just quickly chuck the current leaderboard, there's still some games going, but the top tables have finished, which leaves Adam Camilleri in first place, Matt Morris solely in second place, Rob Lane actually, Jeremy might still be in third place because I believe the end result will be based on round points, not battle points.
Ah, of course.
I might need a confirmation on that one.
Has Rob and Matt Jackson finished?
You know what? I'm gonna get Jeremy to come talk, and I'll go confirm with Dean.
No worries. All right.
So, feel free to have a chat with.
Can you turn me down for a sec? I'm just gonna turn me down for a sec and just yell. You muted me? Sick. Okay, we're just gonna bring the Marigold himself on, and we're gonna talk over that game. Sorry. All right. This is Mr. Marigold.
Hey
Martino,
guys, how you doing?
Triple-time CanCon winner to anybody in the know. How you feeling?
That was a very long tournament.
I agree.
I'm feeling pretty good. I think we had a pretty fun game.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. There was no angst at all.
I really enjoyed playing Mono Deathwatch this event. That's something I'm stress testing.
Dude, you made Mono Deathwatch on the top table. That's pretty good, dude.
And to be honest, your archetype is one of the worst archetypes for Deathwatch.
Yeah, because I got these 2 characters you can't 2+ to kill, and they're very killy, and I got these other 2 tanks that you can't 2+ to wound, and they're very killy.
So when I the worst games I've had with Deathwatch, when I felt most overwhelmed, has been traditionally against guard armies with tank commander spam.
Yeah.
Your army doesn't have tank commander spam, but it's got those 2 Talamasters that fire a profile that's similar to tank commanders.
It's the same as tank
commander. So for those that are interested, with Deathwatch really struggle when they can't get 2-up saves on the Terminators. Typically, you can put a Terminator in cover, like put the unit in cover, so the Termies have 1-ups.
Yep.
So against AP1, they have 2-ups.
Yeah.
And then against anything that's better than AP1, like AP2, technically generally comes in small dosages.
Exactly right.
So you take them on Storm Shields.
Yeah.
But the problem with what Adam was doing is he had -1 ignores cover on those Talamasters, so he was giving me effectively -2 at high dosages. And Deathwatch can't take that.
If you notice what I was doing, I was shooting the Punisher first into every squad,
Yeah.
just to try and leave a Terminator on a wound.
Yeah.
So you had to take that first one
Yeah.
to kill a Terminator. Oh, so okay, this we just got confirmed by Diffie. This is off round points. So you came second or third? I think you came third. Yep.
Third overall.
Wow. Okay, so the podium is some douchebag, and then Mr. the Play Hulk himself and Mr. Marigold. 1, 2, and 3, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Did you know that new team we just formed?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like it obviously, yeah, we're playing at a high level. There were a lot of things. I don't know if the viewers how much they could see of the nuance of it, but I really felt like the swing point in that game that I felt would have swung the game is if I'd made that charge with the red squad into
the Bulgrin into characters.
So yeah,
because if you had chain fist in that unit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
chain fists into Sammy.
Well, so not only that, but they. So I would have I was holding CB to fight twice.
Yeah.
So I was like, what my strategy was, if I made that 9-inch charge on the left flank, the camera would have been, I don't know if it was the right or left flank.
So it was facing the same way.
Yeah, it was on our right.
It was on the right.
Right flank. And that would have basically a fight twice. I think I would have been able to kill at one of those characters.
Yeah, Sammy all the time.
Maybe even with charge and pylons, maybe even tag a tank.
Shock assault. Yeah,
So I had big plans in that turn. I needed that 9-inch. I didn't have Veil of Time. Veil of Time was the other side of the board. That for me was my chance. I'm not saying I would have won, but that was my chance.
We saw that definitely going through it and watching it was a big turn when especially when the character was left out. You know, you had Bulgrin, you had the other character. Yeah, like you going down, even down to the point where you could have potentially locked the eliminators, not eliminators, the infiltrators that Adam had strung up, which would have saved you the firepower of at least one
with that red squad
speeder and 2 tank commanders.
Yep. So I would have had to have clawed you back.
Yeah, so we
would have held that
that
objective on me, so I couldn't get the obstacle off.
And
I had to rely on
not only that, but it would have saved the Watchmaster potentially from dying.
And that was the turn you killed the 3 Bulgrin as well, so there's only 2 left at that point.
So there was some options, and I felt like I played it okay. Adam, it's interesting because I actually thought you were going to give me first turn. So the way I deploy my army, for those that are interested, I was actually trying to bait Adam into giving me first turn. I deployed in a way that was very cagey, and I looked like I was a little bit insulated in some respects. But what I was planning was to, if Adam gave me first turn, unleash the full alpha. Everything would have worked out such that everything would have been able to alpha with the beacons.
The where you put the beacons is the only reason I took first turn. Because I knew that I could get a Talonmaster to go pop 1 and get Scouts to pop 2.
And that was really good. That was good.
If I had it measured out as well. If you didn't use the beacon turn 2, I was going to shoot out Talonmaster and go kill it.
It's interesting because when coming back from ETC with this army, and I only had 1 beacon in ETC, I used it obviously it was used effectively every game, but I feel like the technology or the infrastructure people know about Deathwatch, they know to pop the beacons now. So the whole, I'm just going to use this beacon. Yeah. So I actually think it's almost worth me going up to 3 beacons in the list. Yeah. Just so that it's harder for you to just go and pop them. Because they're so valuable.
Well, if you had another 1 beacon on the left-hand side to bail out a whole squad, because what happened was you had 3 squads that essentially got 2 squads stranded on the right side, and then you had to drop 1 there to make it the game a contest. So essentially got to isolate.
Well, that's the problem. And Deathwatch, they're not obviously so maneuverable. They are relatively okay with the Vanguard and the bike. It kind of makes them like you can get a bit of extra movement out of the unit. But typically, you need the beacons to be maneuverable. Yeah. So Beacon Angelus offers you a bit of aggressive beaconing, and the other ones are kind of more defensive.
Save lives and shit. McGowan, what were you saying when I dropped my Scions there?
The little signs up the top right.
No, the two big scions into the ruin. I was sitting there going, ooh, it's probably a mistake, but maybe I'll do it anyway because I'm already so far up on points.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's pretty much all he had going there. The only way that I would probably look at it differently is if you knew he had the Ozvex scan, but beating his CP down to nothing at that point in the game meant that you could do other things. But putting there to get shot and stuff like that, I think the big one that I saw the difference was it was actually with your scout squad a couple of turns earlier when Jeremy come in and decided to kill it in his turn and freed up another 10-man vet that he had staked out to horseshoe his characters. Whereas Dippy and I were talking a fair bit about that. Putting the signs down, it's one of those things where you go, you're doing it, but I would have probably liked to have seen it, a bit further the objective.
I was just going to drop him in my back line and just not give up 2 or 3 kill points, which I didn't end up mattering.
Yeah, but if you did it on the other side, the missile silo.
Oh, of course, yes. That was originally where I was going to put it.
Yeah.
And that was So I stuffed that up as well. But what the issue with the missile silo was when I looked down to see what my range was, only literally the front line of guys were going to be able to see from where they were. So I was only going to get a handful of plasma shots to get in. I think it's doing some stuff. What's up?
No, I was just gonna.
He's just showing
join
the
in the
board
chat.
so we can actually talk about it.
The question was, no, you can stay here. Whether or not the better play was because you hit the chain fist into the scouts.
Which scouts?
My first turn unit, the blue squad. They were strung out here. Remember turn 1?
You went in and killed all but one.
Yep.
And he ducked away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Instead of
Rapping and trapping.
rapping.
Yeah.
So when I went in with
that was turn 1, and he needed a first.
The
blood.
thing
That was his
is,
first
the
blood.
thing about rapping at that point was
I didn't get it though.
I did. I killed something.
You killed something else. You killed the green squad that was there as well.
Yeah, that's fair. The reason why I wasn't trying to rap is because he was strung back so hard. I didn't think it would be particularly easy. And not only that, but I kind of wanted him to shoot that side of the board because I was planning, wrapping them and conserving them as a target, for me, is good when you can deny your opponent any target. Whereas, I mean, if we're using this as is there a marker?
Yeah.
So I had units up here, a Deathwatch blue unit here, and then I had another yellow unit that was kind of strung, I think, around there.
Yep.
And those two units, especially this blue unit, was extremely valuable to me. And if I wrap over here, where you guys are suggesting, I actually give Adam no choice but to focus on that blue unit. And I wanted him not to. So I'm kind of happy with him having that as an option. I think the advantage of wrapping is I could have maybe got a bit of extra movement out of it. But at the time, I actually wanted it to act as to accept shots. I wanted him to shoot at it. I wanted that blue unit to kind of stay a little bit inconspicuous over here and then leverage that unit to shoot missiles in the tanks. My missiles all game didn't kill a tank. So that, in my opinion, I was shooting cyclones every turn for the first 3 turns. Then they started to get out of range. But even with 3 turns of full cyclone missiles, wasn't able to.
Because you're +1 to wound.
I didn't, especially in the first turn, I used it on 6 shots. And they they did have to move those shots, did they?
Yeah, they all had everything had to move.
Yeah, so they had to move up, and so they hit on 4s, rerolling 1s and 2s, wound on 3s, rerolling 1s. So it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, and I was a bit janky. I made 3 5-ups in a row, one with a CP. And you only get 8 wounds. And that guy finished the game on 4. So the only damage you did to him was turn 1.
So just to address George in chat, George is suggesting I use Smash Captains and stuff. George, typically the army I had last week 2 weeks ago, was it last week or 2 weeks ago, the Overwatch? Last week,
man.
Yeah, so last week we were in a team, me, Adam, Lee Abbey, and we had Eric Lathuris from Queensland. We were in a team. My list was Deathwatch 3, the Deathwatch Battalion. I also had 3 Thunderfires and an Imperial Fist thing.
If you had the Thunderfires,
my list was superior back. I'm stress testing Deathwatch at the moment to see what they can do mono. Yeah. I want to see how much I can push the mono faction. I guess to see if there's any outside of the box additions that are required. Logic would suggest you put in Smash Captains and Thunderfires, which is what my list was last week. So George, if you're interested, have a look at last week's list. I had 3 Imperial Fist Thunderfires with a captain, and then I had Smash Captain, Libby Dread, and some Scouts. So I think it is better, and I think against Adam today it would have been better. The Thunderfires would have been really good against Adam. Even that 2 CP
might be because I'm on this.
Okay.
This
So-
saves the day.
Sorry. So I was just saying that I said to Adam last week, or we suggested that the triple battalion version is really good, and it showed today because he had so much CP that you could keep darting back with the Talamasters. You could get +1 a hit sometimes.
This list was written with the knowledge of my tower list, where just keeping medium damage units alive throughout the entire game is so much better than a high volume turn 1.
Yeah.
So I've got the Punisher that can go out of line in reserve in outflank, and then got the shoot move shoot battle cannon tank, and then the 2 Talamasters who do hit and runs behind the Bullgrim.
So
I think the Scions could go.
I don't think they're necessary.
I don't think they're necessary at all. I think we're better off with artillery.
Yeah, and just for those in chat that didn't miss what I said, I do think the list benefits from Thunderfire Cannons and Smash Captains.
Massively.
But I am stress testing Deathwatch to see what they can do. I'm pretty happy with them. I think they're good. The Cyclone missile launches are interesting.
I think it was a brave choice. I think it needed to have a go.
I think they're good. I'm actually going to test a new version of the list where I have a squad with 5 vets, 5 termies, with a triple Cyclone, just to try to make it even more durable.
Yeah.
So
just one monster unit.
Just
and
this
then
big, yeah.
trim
And
down the
obviously
rest.
they can only have 3 Cyclones in the unit, but you still get, it's harder to take out.
Yeah, and you get the most bang for your buck because it's more likely to be there for more
Perhaps.
turns, etc., etc. And the problem is it gets all the focus.
Yeah.
You're just like, hey, kill this one.
But to be honest, I don't think Smash Captains would have done that. They would have been okay, but you screen them out. You're a good enough player to screen out Smash Captains from hitting those tank commanders. They might hit some things, but
It completely changes how I deploy. You see how I deployed is pretty sparse.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
so I didn't know which way
we've
you
talked
were gonna
about it. We've talked about it a lot. In Cyclone, you're firing every turn, unless you're dealing with an entire squad. A shield captain, you go in, you do your damage,
go. Yeah,
and
it's
then
a
you die.
suicide unit.
well, for example, I just
So-
rolled out before. I rolled with Dean. I was in a bit of a salty mood, and I rolled out my turn 1 volley of missiles into the battle cannon tank, and I killed it in the second attempt of rolling. So had that happened, I think the game opens up, and that's what the Cyclones are there for.
100%.
They're to give the Deathwatch something to interact with when your opponent's bubbling out all the Smash Captains, because if they're bubbling out your Smash Captains, and that's what's supposed to kill mech, then you actually can't do anything.
Yeah. Yep.
So at least you get some play with the Cyclones. But anyway, you played really well, Adam. I'm
Thanks,
very
dude.
impressed.
Thanks
You
so
did
much.
really well.
Thanks heaps.
You didn't take my bait to give me first turn.
No, I couldn't give you first turn.
Yeah, I really thought you were going to do it.
Well, so even after I talked about how important it would be if I get to make Jeremy go first, so
Yeah.
then I get to drop my plasmas on his guys. But then after I saw him deploy and had 1 unit in reserve, I'm like, I'm going first. 100% going first.
Yeah.
If you had left 2 or 3 in
Yeah,
reserve, I'm
no,
like,
well,
yeah. All right.
yeah, well done, guys, because it was nice not being just Marines.
Yeah.
You guys have made it
Thanks,
your own.
Josh.
Jump in,
And
Solly.
even the way you guys deployed, it was very cat and mouse. It was very meticulously done. You guys played an awesome game. So
Thanks,
congrats
Josh.
to everyone.
Cheers, bro.
This is the podium, by the way.
No, it's not.
It's not?
Nah, Jeremy got jumped.
Really?
Rubber ready.
All right, see you guys.
Am I getting on?
Anyway,
There's something to talk
I'll
about.
chat with you.
yeah, you have a chat.
All right, and this is second place. Yep. Mr. Matt Plague Hulk, the Betrayer, Morosoli.
What's going on, guys?
So how was your last round win against Rob?
Yeah, good. Pretty solid. Looked a bit rocky at the start. I went second in the Doomsiders blew up a Plague Burst Crawler and almost killed another one, and it just it looked a bit rough, but Khan got stuck in there and killed the entire unit of bikes, which is pretty good. An absolute ball bag all weekend. He's stealth OP, I reckon.
I'm a big fan of Khan, have been for a number of editions. His armor bane ability is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
For those that weren't watching the stream round one yesterday, the iPad that we were using for the players has not been updated in a long time. It's just used for entering scores for people, and it had 7th edition Battle Scribe, and I brought up the rules for Khan the Betrayer, and I'm like, he has armor bane. Dope. So here, that's the joke. All right. Well, how'd you go getting through the flies then?
Well, great question. No, so the first turn they hung back and they didn't really do a whole lot to me. But in the second turn they flew up in my face and they put their mortal wound straight down and they got Araman. He was the only one that was in range, and he rolled the 5 for him and picked up Araman. Sort of in return, I smited one of them, and I shot the other one with the flamers that were left from the Plague Burst Crawler, and got one of them down to like 8, and one of them down to sort of 6 or something, 5. Both princes charged in. One of them swung and got them both down to 1 wound, and the other one swung and did nothing to both of them. So I left both of them alive on 1 wound, which was incredibly unfortunate. But luckily, because of how they were placed in sort of minimum moves at 1 wound each, he couldn't do the Doom Ray, Death Ray straight on me again, and he flew off, and I finished them all off the next turn, so that was good.
So got there in the end.
Yeah, it looked a bit rough for a couple of turns, but no, we got there.
Awesome. Anything you would change about your list?
Probably plenty.
All right. So the TO is trying to get things packed up, so we might wrap this up ourselves. So big thanks to all the players, the team at Adeptus Victorium Circuit for putting on an awesome event led by Dean Cindy Sinbeck. Once again, big thanks to the Down Under Network patrons for their support over the last 12 months. Without your help, we wouldn't have been able to continually bring better and better quality product for you guys, or content. So big thank you. And we'll get better and better sound effects. I'm going to go back through the stream chat. There were some pretty good suggestions of quotes from movies. So
I want one for when Khan kills a unit. Just saying.
Okay, well, one of the ones was... no, we'll come back to it. So once again, thanks all for watching, and until next time, peace.